From cockpit calm to threat alarm in seconds, the B-2 pilot's screen suddenly lit up with an active missile warning. He banked hard, deployed electronic countermeasures, and watched as a multi-million-dollar HQ-19 interceptor exploded harmlessly in the sky. But the event didn't end there. That brief 1-minute, 54-second showdown triggered a chain reaction. High-level alerts, secure calls, and a presidential decision in under 3 minutes. What followed, Operation Iron Dagger, was one of the fastest planned precision strikes in recent memory. Journey with us from near disaster to retaliation, step by step, through this tense encounter. Before we move on, I will like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. The B-2 Spirit was cruising at high altitude just as the horizon began to glow with the first line of dawn. For the pilot inside, the cockpit remained quiet, instruments steady and routine, until a sudden piercing tone broke through the silence. The warning light flashed red across the display, and within seconds, one of the most important truths of modern warfare was exposed. Even aircraft, designed to be virtually invisible, had just been seen. The fact that a missile system had acquired a lock on the B-2 raised a terrifying question. What kind of radar technology had managed to catch what many consider the most elusive bomber on Earth? The American B-2 is not simply another aircraft. It represents decades of research, billions in funding, and a carefully guarded set of design secrets centered around stealth. Its curved, almost alien shape eliminates sharp angles that typically reflect radar waves. Absorptive materials across its skin reduce return signals even further. With all of this, getting a firing solution against it should have been nearly impossible. Yet on this flight, over contested waters near Scarborough Shoal, a Chinese HQ-19 interceptor missile had done exactly that. Built as Beijing's direct answer to stealth, the HQ-19 was designed to track and destroy hostile aircraft, even when radar images were faint or degraded. Inside the cockpit, what had been routine seconds earlier shifted instantly. Warning panels strobed, threat indicators identified a high-probability missile launch. The audible alarm cut through the calm like a knife. The pilot gripped the stick and initiated evasive maneuvers, banking hard into the sky while deploying onboard countermeasures. Electronic jammers surged to life, trying to blur the bomber's radar signature. While stealth had carried the B-2 into hostile zones undetected countless times before, here it was being hunted. The difference between survival and destruction would be decided in less than a handful of seconds. The stakes could not have been higher. Out of only 19 operational B-2 Spirits in existence, every unit represents not only a weapon system, but a symbol of American reach and deterrence. The loss of one would not simply reduce a fleet. It would send a signal across the Pacific that even the crown jewel of stealth could be struck down. For military planners, that kind of symbolic blow was as damaging as the physical loss of a $2.1 billion asset. From the Chinese coastal batteries, a bright streak cut across the dim morning sky. The HQ-19 rose at blistering speed, contrail glowing faintly orange where sunlight glanced off its exhaust. By the time its sensors locked, the missile was already surging above the haze, climbing toward intercept altitude near 15 times the speed of sound. At that velocity, response time for the American crew shrank into tiny increments. Each second carried them closer to destruction. Flight officers' training had prepared them for just such moments, but few ever expected the scenario to go beyond simulation. From the pilot's view, the missile's approach remained unseen at first, only displayed as tightening symbols on his screen. Countermeasures activated, radar scattering chaff dispersed, and power rebalance adjusted to minimize electronic trace. The Spirit banked sharply with fuel-heavy wings, straining under G-forces. For tense moments, the crew could only wait as the tracking icon drew closer. Suddenly, off to the left, a bright flash ripped across the sky. The HQ-19 had detonated, warhead exploding at altitude. Its trajectory failed. The B-2 remained intact, shaken but untouched. Survival in that moment was not the end of the confrontation. What the missile had triggered was far more dangerous than the immediate exchange, because within minutes, alarms and reports of the near hit were already racing to command centers thousands of miles away, demanding a response that would escalate even faster than the missile itself. Within 3 minutes of the missile's near strike, secure calls linked Washington to the Pacific chain of command. Data from airborne sensors, naval platforms, and satellite tracking poured into Indo-Pacific Command, where officers reviewed the event in real time. Attribution was swift. The missile signatures matched the HQ-19 batteries on the Chinese coast, leaving no ambiguity about what system had been fired. Options had to be drawn up instantly, knowing that hesitation would encourage further risk, but rapid escalation carried its own dangers. In the middle of that loop, senior leaders weighed deterrence against escalation, while the president approved a plan that had been sitting in contingency folders for years. The incident played out like a textbook crisis drill, but with live aircraft and hostile fire. At every second, planners measured how far they could push a response without triggering a larger war. Indo-Pacific Command fed raw data into secure circuits, confirming missile trajectories, launch coordinates, and radar traces. Military analysts understood immediately which base had initiated the attack. It was a hardened coastal launch site with overlapping radar, reinforced silos, and command nodes dug into rock. Striking it would send a direct signal, but timing was everything. The longer the U.S. waited, the higher the chance that follow-up launches could target other patrols or naval vessels already inside contested waters. The selected response received the name Operation Iron Dagger. It was structured around speed, precision, and layered deception. 2 B-2 Spirits would carry out the core strike with GPS-guided JDAMs designed to crack reinforced structures. To protect their path, F-35 stealth fighters would move forward first, hunting enemy radar and suppression nodes. Air refueling tankers were positioned high and far back, circling in protected airspace to ensure the bombers could exit without fuel strain. Closer to the coast, Super Hornets scattered decoys designed to appear as radar ghosts, tricking the surveillance network into chasing non-existent aircraft. Deception played as large a role as the strike itself. MALJ decoys were released to mimic the radar profile of massive B-52 bombers, forcing Chinese radar operators to split their focus between fake targets and the smaller stealth jets. At the same time, electronic jammers flooded portions of the radar spectrum, creating arcs of static that buried identifying signals. Complex false transmissions painted a picture of a much larger wave of aircraft than what actually approached. This electronic clutter bought the B-2s the corridor they needed to slip in almost unnoticed. Stealth handled the rest. The radar cross-section of the B-2 is measured in fractions of a square meter, smaller than birds in some returns. Flying in from the southwest, they used natural radar shadows and turning angles that matched blind spots in coverage. By the time coastal radars tried to realign, the Spirits were overhead at 31,000 feet. Bomb bay doors dropped open, hydraulics groaning against slipstream, and 16 precision warheads were released in staggered intervals, each aimed at a hardened structure below. The weapons impacted within seconds of one another. Subterranean bunkers crumbled under the direct strikes. Radar arrays collapsed into ruins. Launch silos that had only hours before sent a missile into the dawn sky vanished in fire. Detonations shook the coastline, and in under 90 seconds, an entire base that had represented Beijing's forward shield left only smoke and debris. A facility valued at more than $350 million was erased before defenders could mount a reply. The near hit on the B-2 was more than a survival story. It stood as proof that stealth, joint coordination, and decisive leadership could shift the course of events in minutes. What began as a single missile launch became a high-speed demonstration of modern deterrence in action. The incident also showed how fragile routine operations can be. A patrol designed for presence nearly triggered a conflict with global ramifications. Deterrence, in today's world, isn't measured only by advanced weapons. It depends on reaction speed, the ability to make hard choices quickly, and the resolve to carry them out without hesitation.